The fire horse appears once every 60 years in the Chinese Zodiac, and when it does, it carries a reputation. Not as fortune or misfortune, but as intensity, as acceleration, as a period where things move faster, burn hotter, and reveal themselves more clearly. This is not prophecy. This is pattern recognition, encoded into an ancient symbolic system, but understood time not as natural passage, but as cyclical rhythm, carrying distinct archetypal qualities. To understand this archetype, you must first understand what these symbols represent beyond their surface imagery. The horse, in ancient thought, was not merely an animal. It was the embodiment of movement itself, momentum, raw kinetic force. Independence. The horse does not stand still. It runs, it charges, it carries. It represents the principle of forward motion, the urge to advance, the restlessness that refuses stagnation. In human psychology, the horse is will without restraint, passion without pause, the drive that propels action before reflection. Fire is its complement and its amplifier. Fire does not conceal, it reveals. It illuminates what was hidden in shadow and burns away what cannot withstand heat. Fire is intensity, exposure, purification. It is the element that magnifies, that accelerates chemical reaction, that turns potential into kinetic. But fire is also volatile. It spreads, it consumes, it transforms through destruction. Where the horse provides momentum, fire provides magnification. And when these two archetypes combine, you do not get balance, you get amplification. This period, then, is not a year of fate, but a year of acceleration. It is a time where existing patterns intensify, where momentum compounds, where what was building beneath the surface rises with greater speed and force. This is not magic. This is the recognition that certain conditions favor certain outcomes, and this cycle represents conditions that favor rapid movement and swift consequence. In such a year, alignment advances. If you have been moving in coherence with your truth, if your actions have been building towards something real, this period accelerates that process. Progress that might have taken years can condense into months. Opportunities that were distant suddenly arrive. But this same principle applies in reverse. If there is instability, the foundations are weak. If contradictions exist beneath the surface, the cycle does not wait, it exposes. It collapses what cannot hold. The acceleration works in both directions, toward fruition and toward dissolution. This is why ancient systems spoke of this period with caution. Not because the year itself was dangerous, but because speed reveals character. When things move slowly, flaws can be hidden, weaknesses can be managed, imbalances can be sustained. But under acceleration, everything becomes visible. This cycle does not create new problems. It magnifies existing ones. It brings to the surface what was already present but unacknowledged. And in this sense, it functions as a test, not of fate, but of foundation. Consider acceleration as a spiritual principle. When you are aligned, when your inner and outer worlds are coherent, speed becomes an ally. You move with clarity and precision. You capitalize on momentum. You recognize synchronicity and act without hesitation. But when you are misaligned, when there is internal contradiction, when you are forcing movement in a direction that does not resonate with your true nature, acceleration becomes pressure. You move faster, but toward what? The velocity itself does not discern. It simply amplifies the trajectory you are already on. Fire, in this context, should not be understood as destruction, but as purification. Yes, fire burns, but what does it burn? It burns what is dry, what is dead, what no longer serves. It clears the underbrush so new growth can emerge. It refines metal by removing impurities. The intensity of this period can feel destructive when you are attached to what needs to be released. But from a broader perspective, it is clarifying. It is forcing honesty, It is asking, what can withstand heat? What remains when pressure is applied? This is not comfortable. Purification rarely is. But discomfort is not the same as harm. This cycle does not punish, it reveals. And what it reveals is whether your current path can sustain the intensity you claim to want. Many speak of desire, of ambition, of transformation, but few are willing to endure the heat required to actualize it. This period tests that willingness, not through external judgment, but through the simple mechanics of acceleration. Can you maintain coherence at speed? Can you hold your center when everything around you is moving faster? The danger lies not in the archetype itself, but in impulsive force without direction. The horse wants to run, fire wants to spread, but movement without purpose is chaos. Speed without alignment is recklessness. This is where many falter during such a year. They feel the momentum and mistake it for permission. They confuse intensity with importance. They act because energy is available, not because action is wise. And in doing so, they harness this power in service of impulse rather than intention. Direction matters. This cycle amplifies trajectory, but it does not choose it for you. If you are clear, if you know where you are going and why, the year becomes a powerful ally. But if you are scattered, if you are reacting rather than responding, if you are driven by fear or ego rather than truth, the same energy that could have propelled you forward will scatter you further. This is not the year's fault. This is the consequence of misapplied force. There is, however, profound opportunity within this intensity. When things move quickly, when pressure increases, when the stakes feel higher, you are given the chance to discover what you are made of. Not theoretically, but practically. Not in ideal conditions, but in real ones. This period does not offer comfort, but it offers clarity. It strips away pretense. It removes the luxury of delay. It asks you to act, to choose, to commit, and in that demand, it reveals your true priorities. The blade is heated until it glows, then struck, then cooled, then heated again. The process is violent, but the result is strength. This cycle operates on the same logic. It is not malicious, but it is unyielding. It does not soften its pressure to accommodate your comfort. It simply is, and you must meet it as you are, not as you wish you were. Understanding this does not mean predicting specific events. It means recognizing the quality of time. It means approaching the year with awareness that momentum will be stronger, consequences will arrive faster, and clarity will be demanded sooner. It means preparing, not by trying to control outcomes, but by ensuring your inner alignment is strong enough to navigate acceleration without losing yourself in it. This period will magnify what you bring to it. If you bring coherence, you will experience expansion. If you bring contradiction, you will experience pressure. If you bring clarity, you will experience progress. If you bring confusion, you will experience chaos. The year does not decide for you. It simply reveals what was already true and asks whether you can sustain it under intensity. This is the meaning of the fire horse, not his fate, but his mirror, not his destiny, but as accelerant, not as external force, but as the conditions under which your internal reality becomes undeniably visible.